June 18th was a defining moment in deep-sea tourism. It was the day when Titan, a super submersible operated by OCEANGATE, was to make its third dive at a depth of more than 10,000 feet deep in the North Atlantic, carrying 5 passengers to view the wreckage of the infamous Titanic. 1 hour and 45 minutes later, all communications from the sub halted. It went missing. All efforts to locate the Titan by the US and Canadian Coast Guard were unsuccessful. 5 days later, on June 22nd, debris from the 23,000-pound submersible emerged on the surface of North Atlantic waters off Newfoundland, confirming fears that the vessel had imploded and all humans aboard were dead. How was that possible? What went wrong? Here's what happened to the OCEANGATE submarine, the Titan. Since James Cameron ignited interest in the ill-fated Titanic, the elite have always wanted a tour of the wreckage. Rising to the occasion was OCEANGATE, a private U.S. company offering deep-sea tourism in submersibles like the Titan. Founded in 2009, the company's most adventurous tour has been the deep-sea dive to the icy grave of the most ill-fated ocean liner in history, the RMS Titanic. With 2 earlier dives considered successful by the company, this was to be its third, carrying 5 passengers as crew. The lucky 5 were British businessman Hamish Harding, Pakistani investor Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman, French diver Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and OCEANGATE CEO Stockton Rush. Hamish Harding made an iconic trip to suborbital space with Jeff Bezos' rocket company Blue Origin in 2022. A Guinness World Record holder in exploration, Harding was also credited with the world record for the longest duration at a full ocean depth by a crewed vessel and the longest distance traveled along the deepest part of the ocean. Shahzada Dawood, vice president of the Pakistani-based conglomerate Dawood Hercules Corporation, is a trustee of the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, Institute. The men shared a common passion for exploration, and now their latest dream was to see the Titanic. The Titanic was one of the most ill-fated steamships of the 20th century, which sank on April 14, 1912. The ship hit an iceberg which tore it open like a tin can, sinking it in the waters of the North Atlantic near Newfoundland. Almost 1,500 people died from drowning and hypothermia, as no help came in time. Today, the wreckage of the Titanic remains in its icy grave, 12,500 meters below the surface. Director James Cameron is among the few who has explored the wreckage 33 times using a submersible he designed himself, the Deep Sea Challenger. The Titan was touted as one of the finest submersibles capable of diving to extreme depths. The deep sea vessel was touted as a groundbreaking submersible that offered deep sea tourists the extraordinary chance to see the Titanic. It had already made 2 successful trips to the wreckage in 2021 and 2022. This was its third. However shocking as it may sound, past passengers were unhappy with the experience, revealing chilling details of safety issues, communication failures, and design concerns. One wonders why the company continued the trips, knowing such issues could escalate. Brian Weed, a camera operator for Discovery Channel and a passenger on the first dive with Titan, described the experience as scary, making the passengers feel like sitting ducks. The Titan, which shares its name with Saturn's largest moon, is a 21-foot, 10,432 kilogram carbon fiber titanium submersible designed to carry 5 people. It has no seats and a curtained-off area serving as a makeshift bathroom. That's not an ideal environment, but who cares when you're on the adventure of a lifetime? OCEANGATE classifies the Titan as a Cyclops class, manned submersible with the ability to dive to 13,123 feet. Its high-tech features included an inertial navigation system, INS, an ultra-short baseline acoustic positioning system, a robotics laser scanner, a Teledyne 2D sonar, and more. What's shocking is how a submersible of this caliber and superior technology ended in disaster when it was meant to be almost unbreakable. Well, so was the Titanic. The steamship was considered unsinkable, yet it sank. Many considered the Titanic doomed the day she set sail, which shows how much in common the Titan shared with it. Even NASA had a hand in building the Titan. The space agency had lent its expertise in the design and automated fiber placement layup of composite hulls, which was invaluable, according to CEO Stockton Rush, one of the men who perished with the sub. The Titan's hull was built from aerospace-grade carbon fiber. This helped it weigh much less, a fraction of what other submersibles weigh in its category. The Titan's low weight allowed it to carry a greater payload, like 5 crew passengers, a pilot, researchers, and mission specialists. What might have been a mistake in design was the roomier, cylinder-shaped cabin in stark contrast to the conventional, sphere-shaped designs of most submersibles. The Titan relied on Elon Musk's Starlink satellite network for communications and was guided by messages from a surface ship to the sub. Another questionable feature of the sub was how it was sealed from the outside with bolts and required an external crew to remove the people inside. This meant the people inside had no chance in the event of a malfunction. Death was inevitable. They were indeed sitting ducks. On June 17, 2023, the Titan sub prepared to dive. The weather till that day was horrific, and Newfoundland was experiencing its worst winter in decades. This dive was to become the only manned mission to the Titanic in 2023. A weather window had just opened, and the crew took their chance. The entire trip to the Titanic wreck, 900 nautical miles, or 1,667 kilometers, east of Cape Cod on the U.S. coast, takes 8 days, with a single dive taking up several hours. The Titanic lies 12,500 feet beneath the surface. The pressure at that depth is 400 atmospheres, meaning a force of 6,000 pounds pressing in on every square inch of an object's surface. Due to its larger internal volume, the Titan was subjected to more external pressure. At precisely 8 a.m., the Titan began its 2-hour descent into the North Atlantic Ocean to the Titanic. A surface vessel, the Polar Prince, remained above it. All went well, but at 9:45 a.m., the sub was not responding to communication from above. Even as the monitoring crew aboard the surface vessel frantically tried restoring communication, they were unsuccessful. At 5:45 a.m., fearing the worst, the Coast Guard was informed that the Titan was missing. Till June 19th, a joint U.S.-Canadian Coast Guard operation combed the entire area using ships, planes, and sonobuoys that could monitor to a depth of 13,000 feet. There was still hope that the crew could be alive. After all, the sub was equipped with 96 hours of oxygen, which meant they could hold out for at least 4 days. By the 20th, the search turned into an international air and sea operation with the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Navy, Canadian Coast Guard, and OCEANGATE Expeditions, establishing a unified command to handle the search. France even deployed the Atalante, a ship equipped with a deep-sea diving vessel. On the same day, a Canadian Lockheed P-3 Orion aircraft, equipped with gear to trace submarines, reported hearing banging sounds at 30-minute intervals, but could not confirm the reports. By now, all concerned began fearing the worst. It was approaching D-Day for the humans aboard the Titan, the time when their oxygen was about to run out. However, the fact is, that was never going to be the case. They were most probably crushed into oblivion. On June 22nd, a deep-sea rover finally spotted something near the wreckage of the Titanic. It was pieces of the Titan. Soon after the news reached the Coast Guard, OceanGate confirmed the crew was dead. But what exactly happened? According to consensus by the experts, the Titan had imploded. According to Bob Ballard, a team member who found the Titanic wreck in 1985, people have yet to fathom the destructive process of an implosion. It involves a massive surge of energy descending upon you like tons of rock, crushing your body into itself. An implosion shreds everything. Moreover, the Titan was not built according to conventional shape. Its hull was not a sphere, a perfect shape where water pressure is exerted equally on all areas. As a result, several experts warned it faced a risk of implosion. Even as the search was still on, hoping there might be survivors, maritime researchers revealed how an implosion could be the worst possible outcome of all the scenarios envisioned. During the round-the-clock search for Titan, confirming the theories, the U.S. Navy finally revealed one of its vessels had detected sounds consistent with an implosion shortly after the sub lost contact with the Polar Prince. That proved a lack of oxygen was never the problem. Their deaths came much sooner. Arun Basil, a Northeastern University physics professor, likened an implosion to the force of a whale biting on somebody. It is also much like a car compacted by a compacting machine. As per the experts, even though the Titan's hull, with its inbuilt sensors, could withstand high pressure, a tiny defect would have caused an instant implosion in less than 40 milliseconds. The crew could not have had the faintest idea what hit them. It must have all been over in seconds when they were obliterated. The implosion killed the crew instantly and then split the Titan horizontally. Finding the hull in 2 pieces was further proof of what happened. The disaster of the Titan will forever go down as one of the darkest days in the history of modern deep-sea ocean research. Even as you see this, deep-sea rovers are still scouring the Titanic site for more possible clues to assess what accurately happened. Speaking on the incident, director James Cameron said, "I watched, over the ensuing days, this whole sort of everybody running around with their hair on fire search, knowing full well that it was futile. The only scenario I could come up with in my mind that could account for that was an implosion. A shockwave event so powerful that it took out a secondary system that has its pressure vessel and its battery power supply, which is the transponder that the ship uses to track where the sub is."